Okay, this one's a bit different, and I absolutely love it. My guest on the Tech Ledger this week is Alan Young, better known as Serious Child. Alan started out after university as an economic modeller, building game theory models for carbon emissions and, as he puts it, the economics of sewage, before spending 20 years at PA Consulting. Then he walked away to become a full-time musician and community organiser. He's funny, thoughtful and deeply human, especially when he talks about his brother in Ukraine and the song Stunt Double that comes from that. You don't want to miss that. Full ledger entry coming up. Stick with it. Alan Young, good afternoon. Welcome to the Tech Ledger.
Thank you very much. Very pleased to be here. Thanks, Scott.
How you doing?
I'm fabulous, obviously.
I've got to start off, Alan. I have to do this because the people that either listen to this or watch this, right? And I implore anybody like my wife who actually, I know I'm bored saying this, she said, I just like listening to it when I'm doing stuff around the house. I want her to at least watch 30 seconds of this because she needs to revel in the magnificence of your beard.
Do you know, I obviously I grew this when I wasn't working with you. And then I was walking around Glasgow a couple of years ago, and one of our ex-colleagues walked up to me and said, "Are you in witness protection? What are you doing in Glasgow, and what's that beard?" So thanks. So apparently I look the same if I do that as what I used to.
You know, it is, because the first time I saw it, I thought, I mean, it's like kind of almost unrecognisable. That must take a lot of grooming each day.
A bit. It does. Yeah, I do. I've got a comb and everything. I mean, it's really good.
And listen, I know this is a really big week for you, and we'll get in and talk about this a bit more as we progress. But you're releasing a record this week.
I'm releasing a single this week and the full album next month. But yes,
okay,
it happens in a cycle of months. This stuff.
I don't think I've ever chatted to anybody online or otherwise in my 57 years of existence and said, "Hey, you're releasing a record this week." So this is genuinely a first for me, and I'm so delighted that you're on the Tech Ledger talking to me today.
Thank you. Well, no one else wants to talk to me, Scott, so it's really good. Actually, it's so nice not to be discussing the specifics of the exact single, because I am doing a lot of radio about that at the moment. It's really nice not to be talking about and to be talking to you, to actually someone I know and would like to talk to.
Oh.
I hope the PRs don't hear that. Oh man,
you're getting scratched there a minute. You've just lost you've lost an agent or two or a PR agency somewhere.
That's it. I'm done.
So listen. As with all these ledger entries, I like to pass the mic to my guest in the first couple of minutes and just say, Alan Young, aka Serious Child, or is it Serious Child, aka Alan Young? Why don't you take the mic and just introduce yourself to our audience?
Gosh, I always feel like it sounds like the round of death, don't you? When you're in a meeting, you go, "Please, Alan, introduce yourself," and I go, "Well, I'm Alan, and I'm an alcoholic," that sort of thing. So, so I'm Alan Young, and I go by the name Serious Child. We know each other, Scott, from when we were both consultants for a while. And well before that, I was a mathematician, and then a research mathematician, and then an economist working in mathematical models. And then I moved to PA because PA Consulting, where we met each other, because I wanted to be more practical and more connected to the real life of actually doing something and not building a model about it. And did that for 20 years, worked at so many different places. In fact, I actually counted in your second episode with Louise McCarthy how many different places I'd worked in the same place as her, and it was quite a few. It was at least 3. I know it's quite worrying. And I packed that in 5 years ago to become a full-time musician, and that's when I changed my name to Serious Child, and here I am.
Wow. And so those places that you used to work with Louise, you would have better chance of recognising her than she would have recognised you.
Yeah.
Back to that old in disguise beard thing.
To be fair, no, they're mad starey eyes, honestly. If I come, really? Oh yeah, you're that bloke with the eyes. Yes, fair. I think I was mainly, she talked about like Virgin Media, the NTL Telewest merger, which was truly a difficult experience for all. I was in there, but I don't think, we were in different offices, so I wasn't working for her.
Yeah.
We all had tin hats on that one. That was a tough job. So,
but yeah, interesting. That, it's funny. I reflect on this quite a lot as to when people's paths cross or people's names come up, even after the amount of years that we've been doing stuff, and whether that's been, you've got this fantastically interesting kind of journey that you've been on, which we'll explore as we progress here. But you always feel as if you're only kind of 1 or 2 steps away from anybody. And the amount of people that I still meet, and I go, oh, do you know such a wow? And it's not even just a LinkedIn thing where you click on somebody on LinkedIn, you think, oh, I've got people in common. It's actually genuinely when you're starting to talk to people and you think.
Honestly, this morning, as I was playing Andy Gomersall's episode 1, excellent, everybody, at breakfast. And seriously, Andy goes, oh, I'm connected to music because like David Luntz is like connected with my uncle or somebody. And then my wife just pipes up, I work with David. Seriously. And I went, yeah, I had that exactly this morning. So apparently EMI in the late 70s, apparently. There you go. So
wow.
It's really interesting. I mean, because I've never played rugby for anybody useful. So I got no, but I've got that connection.
We will come back to your sporting career at some point in this call, Alan.
Thanks.
Having watched a little clip of you, was it pre and post your half marathon, which did make me chuckle a little bit, but I think it was good to see, and I thought you held it together well after it.
I was in pieces. That was only Sunday. I'm still in pieces.
You're still in pieces. You're still aching. So if you jump up out your chair at some point, go what?
No, there's none of that. There'll be no jumping. There might be a mild falling over. Exactly.
So let's go back to the study in maths at Cambridge, which again was a bit of like, what? I didn't know that. And then moving into being an economic modelling research, which actually until we had a quick chat after however many years, 10 years last week, I didn't appreciate that you didn't just start out as a consultant. So take me back to the beginning.
Let's see. I was like Louise again. I was from Council Estate background and didn't go to a posh school. And apparently, I was a bet between 2 tutors that whether I'd cope at Cambridge or not. So they let me in.
Wow.
Apparently, with not the good enough grades to see if some sort of scummy northerner would work. And I was all right. I mean, I didn't do brilliantly. I did okay. But it's like, I only found that out after I left when one of the tutors said, oh, I had that bet about you. And I went, that does not make me feel good. But fortunately, he did save it until, 2 years after I'd left to tell me, because I don't think that had done my confidence much good. So, I was sent down to Cambridge, or came up to Cambridge to work with people that are much posher than me, of whom I was terrified completely, and then got out to work. I did a doctorate in maths as well, which is, I can swear, if you know many people with PhDs, I'm going to get into trouble for mentioning this, they are typically people that didn't get firsts that want to prove they're clever enough. It was a bad error that they didn't get first. And,
is that true?
Oh, God, yes. I looked around the people, none of us had firsts.
Wow.
Or there was some that were just born to be living in a lab in the corner in a cupboard.
Yeah.
But they were too clever for us and we weren't working with them. But yeah, very much so.
It sounds like some weird social experiment you were on. Let's take, like almost like a bit Clockwork Orange-esque about it. Let's take this guy from a council estate and see whether he survives in the dungeons.
It's because I hadn't done the right exam board, and the exam board apparently was very bad for Cambridge maths. That was the bet. But so there was, and worse still, there was a BBC documentary where they followed me around and several other people a day in the life of for a whole year. In my first year at Cambridge, so it's documented how uncomfortable I was in a documentary. That's my love of media. Very early on.
Have you got video footage of?
I have got VHS footage of it.
VHS footage.
I know. Yeah, I've scanned it in, but I'm definitely never letting anybody see it. It's awful.
I think in order for this to amplify and elevate this podcast even further, you need to commit for the first time ever the public airing of Serious Child.
It's literally my first ever tutorial where we're sitting down going through my work and I've got everything wrong and I have no idea what's going on and it's videoed. And I'm just sitting there. And I'm wearing a school shirt that I cut the collar off because I didn't have any money for a real shirt, and because I didn't want to look at a school shirt. I mean, it's like, it's fantastic. I mean, it's pretty authentic in terms of being useless, but
we've gone a bit from Clockwork Orange to Monty Python now, haven't we?
Yeah, that was great. I know it's quite. I haven't thought about these things for very long because I do not identify with the Cambridge graduate thing, and if the fundraisers call me, I still do not identify as someone that particularly likes to think about that phase. Yeah.
And why I expect that some of this will come out as we get on and talk about some of the things you've done more recently. But was that always a very conscious thing? Because then you moved into doing economic modelling for NERA and stuff like that. So were you still hanging on to something there in a kind of applying logic that you struggled with?
So when I sat down with the state of graduate support in those days, there was some sort of like microfiche you look at to see what potential jobs you might get with your degree.
Yeah.
And it gave me 29 sorts of accountancy and actuary. And I know that I'm not being disrespectful to accountants, but I'm not suited for it. I do not have the attention span or the process following to do it. So, that's why I'm a musician now. I would have been awful. So I just legged it, and that's why I did the PhD, because I couldn't face the jobs that they suggested to me. And I thought, I'll hang around and wait till later. And then literally, I saw an advert in the paper on a Saturday from this company I'd never heard of. Turn up, it's completely full of weirdos. I am so happy. They accept me immediately. And you'll see there's the pattern here. PA consulting is not bad for weirdos. Right. So
hey, time out a bit. Present company accepted, of course. Yeah. No. Okay.
It's in effect. That's in my phone.
Cheers.
No, and it's very comfortable. So they're both very uncomfortable environments for people who are different. And so yes, but that's the theme that runs through it. And NERA was full of they were all economists, and I was the only one who wasn't. So I was, but I had my PhD, and they spent 2 years making me fix their computers first because they thought that's what I did.
Yeah.
Then they let me do some maths, which is what they'd harden it for. And that was brilliant fun. I mean, I mean, it's
and what kind
I
of project?
can't believe I landed that job. It was literally an advert in the paper.
And what kind of projects were you doing there? What problems were you solving?
I did. I mean, if I talk about a cool one, then I'll talk about an uncool one.
Go on.
So on the cool ones, we did some early game theory around if you introduced permits for carbon emission, whether countries would cheat or not.
Wow.
Right. So I worked with this professor in Southampton. I built game theory models for him. And that was a massively cool job. And I think I stayed up till 3 or 4 in the morning working on this because I was so into it. It was really exciting. So I worked in environmental stuff then. And the other one was I worked on the variations, all the different things that could add up to the cost of a sewage treatment works.
Yep.
So my models were used to price the investment programs for rolling out the cleaner rivers. But I was literally known as the shit economist, literally by people. So because I was the one that knew the economics of sewage.
Wow. And
I built the models with all the different effluent types in there to do. So yes.
So both of those, I mean, the first one, it's almost like, preempting greenwashing before we even knew what greenwashing was.
Yeah.
Because this will be going back a few years, and then a few years,
yeah,
and then the second one again, it's the kind of thing, and I read a lot about this stuff, and I hear a lot about this stuff about how do we use AI to do what you were doing in Project.
That would have been much better. It literally was reading a bunch of textbooks and working out what the formulae were.
Yeah,
and AI would have done that second one better, definitely. The first one, maybe not.
But I tell you what jumps out at me in this is we're still wrestling with the same problems, issues, challenges as what we were, this would have been, 30 years ago, probably, yeah? 25, 30 years ago. And are we any further forward? I think the routes that we're taking for solutions and the technology we're using is different. But, and I'm assuming we're closer to an answer, but we haven't fixed the problem yet. In fact, arguably the problems are getting worse.
Yes, certainly the river ones are.
Yeah.
Because here we are modelling all these sewage works, and then no one's modelling the debt. And there's all the people coming in, clearing the companies out, putting debt on them. Then so we didn't model that. We modelled nice, happy stuff about fixing it, like engineers.
Yeah.
So yes, yes, I worked on a lot of this. I'm afraid.
Yeah. Okay, and then you did you just draw a line under that and say, right, kind of had enough? I want to get away from all these kind of crazies or wild eccentrics, and then I'll go and join another company of eccentrics, maddies.
Well, because I wasn't an economist, they weren't promoting me, so I was staying at a very low level of the company because I don't think they knew what to do with me. And so I said, look, if you don't promote me, I'll leave. And one of my friends had moved to this company, PA Consulting, and I asked if he would do, if he could get me an interview. And I found his notes from that. He said, I've got this friend, Alan, who I used to work with. I don't know if he's any good, but will someone speak to him? I found that as well. So there is a pattern of that. Thanks, guys. So it was the negative nepotism. So I didn't do very much kind of LinkedIn researchy stuff. I just literally found a mate and asked them if they might be interested in me, because I figured if he'd gone between the two environments, there might be a chance.
But you stayed there for 20 years, so it's kind of like, I'll just go and see how this works out, and then you kind of 20 years later, you're still there. So
I know.
Give me a kind of view of that journey in itself, because I think that's a long time to spend in a consulting firm like that. Yeah?
It is, but I know that in most firms you delve deeper and deeper and deeper, and you become a bigger expert in stuff. And I didn't. I moved between disciplines. I'm a magpie, so I started off allegedly working in telecoms market research, coming from a place I'd never done telecoms or market research. And then went into doing IT, went into doing bankruptcy work, went into doing media, went into doing healthcare. So, these things are so vastly different. I mean, they all had tech in them. Yeah. But the fact was, it was really exciting. I'm so lucky that I've managed to move repeatedly into really interesting, difficult things. And people let me, which I still struggle with.
You still sort of think, why did they let me do that? But
that's great.
Did you, and I know that you've got a very strong view about humanity in the world, and again, we'll come back to this because it's ingrained in all your music and what you do now as an artist. But did your worldview shift as you were doing different things in different parts of PA, or did you just feel that was more kind of automaton type stuff? I'm just going to get stuff done here.
I didn't do certain industries because I didn't feel comfortable doing them. So that's how I approached it. I was I was very Gen Z before it was fashionable in that way. So I didn't want to do defence. I didn't want to do financial services. I mean, in the case of defence, because I didn't agree with it. Now these days, I'd be much more comfortable, ironically. Yeah. But financial services, I just thought it was boring. So there seemed to be much more interesting things to do. So I just went where it was interesting. And I've always done that. I've followed my nose to wherever interesting things occur.
Yeah. And do you still reflect on that and think, if do you have kind of moments where you wake up and you think, if I was still a consultant, this is how I would advise business on these top issues? Because, again, we're saturated by press, and whether it's soundbite stuff or social media stuff, or whether it's we sit down and watch the BBC, God forbid, then you think, well, this is what they should do. Or do you just kind of now roll a little bit?
Of course you do. You can't help it, right? Someone says ID cards and you're immediately going, or they start to talk about NHS online, and we're going to have all GP appointments answered by people in different parts of the country. I'm going, I would be working on that if I was still in the biz.
Yeah.
I would be throwing myself at it. I would be borrowing, stealing, finding some way to turn up in a meeting to be part of that, because that actually sounds like that should have happened a while ago.
Well, it almost did, didn't it? Because, and again, I was only, you're a proper consultant. I was never a consultant. I was always out there trying to kind of win more business and blah, 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 and sell, incredibly talented people like yourself into client situations. But when I was there in that 2 or 3 years that I was there, ID cards was the big program.
Oh, I know, but that was that central idea of bringing it all together in one place. I mean, it's one of those ideas that, yes, that was quite hard, wasn't it? That's because you start. It's like HS2, right? I still say HS2 would have been a brilliant project if it started in Leeds. It would be finished then, right? Just the ID cards. If you put it on everybody's phones, then it would be working.
Yeah.
But if you put this big thing in the middle, so this whole centralized big database, or the the spine of NHS data running through, fearsomely complicated, linking every system in the world ever. Yeah. I mean, the thing in those days, that's what we thought like. That is now mad.
But again, but on Connecting for Health, and again, I wasn't in PA at the time. In fact, when I left PA, I went to work for Mastech, a kind of mid-tier Indian firm, and and we were working with BT, we were working with CSC back in the day at some of the regional elements, and working with BT in the spine. So, and again, 20 years later, it comes back round. What should we do? We should build this kind of big sort of spine, and I'll have all these. You just think, well, it's almost back to when you were modelling about climate change back in however many years ago. The problems haven't quite gone away, but just kind of circle back round like that.
Yeah, this one's definitely. No, they are. The problems haven't gone away, but the technology ability to fix them is much better. Or the views of how to do it, this distributed viewpoint, which with the rise of Google and Amazon is effectively very different.
Yeah. No, I get it.
And phones weren't there the first time, right? They were still, Keanu Reeves was still dropping his banana phone into bins on the Matrix, right?
We're beginning to sound like our parents, aren't we? Wow, we didn't have all that tech back in our day, but we were happy. Again,
I love the tech. I still love all the tech. I can't get enough of it. So it's like...
It's all gone a bit Monty Python again, isn't it?
Yeah.
You were lucky. So then you walked away after 20 years. What prompted you to walk out of the?
I had started doing music, and it was going all right. But I was working every weekend on the music and the marketing, and I was working 5 days a week at least on the day job. And you realise after 6 months you haven't had a day off, and you really haven't had a day off or a night's sleep. And so it just became really obvious that something had to give.
Mm.
And so I took a sabbatical, or rather I keeled over, and everyone said, you should have a sabbatical.
Mm.
Then I released the record, and it went quite nicely, and it was exciting. And then it was a choice about, do I go back now? Because I don't think I can do the music and the corporate life. Which would I want to do? And it wasn't an easy decision. It wasn't an obvious thing. I literally had to talk very carefully to both sorts of people. But in the end, the music just is too good.
So I actually do remember when you were gigging, like when you were working in PA, and
that was covers bands.
That was covers band, and I think I remember. I think we were at a do one night in Edinburgh. Was it Edinburgh, up in Scotland somewhere? And JCB, bless him, was on the piano, and we were all round singing and stuff like that. And then somebody said, Alan actually sings in a band, and you were off doing cover stuff. And I knew how hard you were working in PA at the time, and I thought, how do you ever juggle that stuff? Because gigging's hard, isn't it?
Now, at that point, that was just a hobby, right? Gigging is not hard in the sense that you just turn up. If you're playing other people's music, you turn up, plug in, play. People listen to it or they don't. They talk over it. If you're doing your own music, you have to market it to get people to come.
Mm.
And it's an active audience that want to hear you. That's a very different proposition.
Okay.
They're different creatures. So doing that, it was the move between those two things where I go to a pub, play. And the ironically thing is now recently I've rediscovered going to pubs with pianos and playing my own songs very loudly to people that don't want to listen. And I'm having a great time. I'm just doing it as fun. Just going, do you mind if I play some of my own songs? They've never heard of me. Give it a go. And you can tell which ones are going to work. And so I don't know what came over. This only happened in the last 3 months. I just decided to go. I found a pub piano. It was awful. Brilliant. Let's have a go. It's just like that, but it's very similar to that. But the difference is it's my song, and you ask people in the pub, is it okay if I play my song?
Yeah.
I'm not going to do, Angels by Robbie Williams, much as it's a fine song, but
That was another PR agency just about to phone you up there and say, what do you mean Angels isn't a good song?
I know, I did. I think in that particular moment you're referring to, I think I might have sung Angels. so that's my reference point, yeah.
I think there must be some footage around there.
I
hope not, but...
yeah, exactly. No, it probably is. I think that these days, yeah.
So listen, just give me a couple of minutes on Serious Child and how it came about and what it means to you, and then we're going to play a short extract from one of your songs. So just give me the what is Serious Child?
I'm serious. Honestly, it sounds so much less exciting when I tell you the truth. Is that okay? Can I tell you the truth?
Well, tell me the truth. We might edit it out if it's rubbish, but
it's just that I was in a band. We were called the Snowbirds. We found there was an American band called the Snowbirds, and that I didn't want to be the Snowbirds UK like the Charlatans had to do. And so I went looking for names that no one else had, and I came up with a list of 30 names that had .coms available because I wanted a website that no one else did. And I literally sat down with people with this list and said, which of these should I be? And 100% everyone pointed at Serious Child, that's you. So I focus grouped my band name.
On the basis, hang on, you focus group on the basis of what website name was available.
Yeah, and it's because if you searched in those days, if you searched on Serious Child, the word after it was abuse. Right? No one wants that.
No.
Right? These days, you just type in Serious Child, at least I hope this is true. Don't try it now.
I'm not going to try it now.
Type in Serious Child, it comes up music.
Ah, okay.
So, you know, and so that search thing comes up as me, by all the effort of the, you know, putting in this sort of SEO stuff.
Wow.
You know, so yeah, I didn't really want people who are abusers searching for my music, but
no,
yeah, no, but that was why it was available. There had to be a reason why no one wanted it as .com, right?
Yeah.
It's yeah.
So let's play a little bit of music. Do you want to introduce this little bit of music?
Yeah, I'm trying to work out which way around it's going to be, but I'm
on
going
the bus.
Sorry?
On the bus.
So I have a record coming out on Friday, and it's called Dusk on the 33, and it is about, this was a news story of an old lady that was going on the bus every day to keep warm in London. And I decided to write a song about her from the point of view of the bus driver and the fact that no one notices the old lady at the back of the bus. And then we did a video with a dance company called Three Score, who are in Brighton, with my wife is part of. And we wanted to do intergenerational, all the people dancing on the bus and ignoring the lady at the back who no one sees. And so we're a little bit of, and she's called Hillary in real life, and she's quite a high-powered art supremo, but she's dressed up like a bag lady and gone and sat at the back of the bus. I still can't believe that I've got this amazing high-powered woman doing this for me.
I hope I hope you paid her well for this.
Yes, absolutely. I bought dinner. That's you know. So yeah, it's called Dusk on the 33, and it comes out. Well, it comes out probably last week.
Let's listen to a little bit of Dusk on the 33.
A young mother struggles alone with a folding chair. Windows messed up as the shoppers ignore that she's there. Sleepyhead, miss my bed. Sleepyhead, miss my bed. Sleepyhead, miss my bed. Noon on the 33.
Right.
Very good. Thank you for that. That's lovely. And you're on tour soon, aren't you? As well, are you? You seem to be constantly on tour when you're not.
No, I'm only on tour once a year.
Well,
but I am on tour because, of course, yeah, I'm coming to Windsor.
You are coming to Windsor.
I'm coming to the Thames Valley. So I'm on tour from the 16th of October. It starts.
Yeah.
Windsor 16th, Cambridge 17th. Then a couple of weeks off, then Luton because I'm very glamorous.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
And we're playing London, and we're playing. I think going down to Bristol, going to Winchester, Penzance.
So I mean, forgive me, because it feels to me like the last couple of years you've played more down kind of homeland area. This, going to Luton, going to Thames Valley, going down to. Are you now expanding your footprint? Is America on the horizon? And
America is not on the horizon because if the immigration people search my phone, I'm not getting in, right?
Yeah.
So Canada might be on the horizon, and certainly mainland Europe. I would love to play mainland Europe. Yes, so last year, a couple of years ago, I did a tour around Scotland, Ireland, Wales, which was brilliant. So yes, I'm a bit homeland in the south of England because it's the economics of people know me. So you get enough people in the room to make sure it doesn't bomb.
Yeah.
I typically do a mix of like gigs that are where most people know me, and then I go further afield for a bit of excitement and head to the north of England or Scotland. I love Scotland. I mean, Scotland's a good place for me to play because it's very suitable for the sort of music I play.
So talk me through a bit more about the music, because it's lovely. I mean, I do like listening to your stuff, but everything seems very genuine and heartfelt and with quite deep meaning. And we'll come on and explore some of that a wee bit more. That's even more personal to you. But and is it almost like you're expressing everything that you've built up through your life and your career, and and it's now just flowing out in words, and you have to find music to it, or vice versa.
It is. I am, to use, if I can use a slightly sweary expression, because my family, I grew up sort of in the sort of Scouse hinterland. So I'm a bit of a gobshite, right? And I could tell stories and I can make people interested in stories. So I love stories. So I'm drawn to storytelling. So yes, the songs I write are stories. And sometimes they're true and sometimes they're not. They're stories. Sometimes, and yeah, so... but if you take the story of the lady on the bus, that is a true story that we've taken from a different angle. But I don't know her personally, of course. So it's a sort of almost like historical fiction. Yes, so I'm heartfelt in terms of I'm trying to make a connection, because otherwise, why do you want to hear the story? The story's got to have a point. And yeah, I enjoy it, because writing a song is you haven't got much time. You've got a verse to make people interested. Yeah. Then it's get to the chorus or I'm bored. So it isn't. I love the discipline of getting to the point, and so that's songwriting fits me. I'm not a poet, so that's where I found my home. But it's also the sales presentation. You're doing a presentation to pitch a job or to win a contract. You've got to get to the point immediately and then connect to the emotion of it. Not say I can do you a nice deal on some tin. Well, that's just not the sort of contracts we're talking about. So. We spent a lot of time being authentic and learning how to storytell, and then they let me loose on a piece of paper to write a song, and I'm going, oh, this works. Goodness, that was unexpected. So this all came about because I was given a birthday present on my 50th birthday by my wife to go up to Scotland, to Moniac Moor near Inverness. And this is a writing centre, fantastic place, with my favourite songwriter. And I had a week or 4 days. And that's what caused all the problems. Because I came back and, I'd written some songs and I loved it, and I didn't, and so I kept doing that. But it was not a choice of, once that started, I did not have a choice. That's what I had to do. Making money and doing good stuff in transformational work, that had to happen too. But so there were two imperatives. And you can't have two masters like that.
No. And how do you, so I find this really, you say, it's really interesting what you've said, actually, I'm not a poet. And I and other people might have said, yes, I think you are a poet. I think it's very difficult not to be a poet when you write such meaningful songs and such inspiring songs. And then how do you put them in music? Or is it the other way around?
No, for me, it is very much start with the words. I mean, sometimes I'll start with a bit of music and add stuff. But, yeah, I don't think I am, because I recently took some work from a poet who I love, a guy called Tony Harrison, who died this week. And I put up a post on Facebook yesterday, and it's had 20,000 views.
Wow.
And it's had 250 likes. Nothing I have ever done in my life has done that, because that's a real poet, because I used his poetry to make the music. Yeah. So that's the difference. Everyone's going, And I've been coming to terms with the fact that a real one. So yes, I like when I perform a song. It's more like performance poetry, in the sense that performance poetry is a lot like songwriting now. But you can't give people the layers of meaning you can in poetry that you can in song, because you've got to get to the point and make it interesting. Yeah.
No, I get it. Yeah. And I we've talked about this a lot. I still love going to see bands, and I kind of. I'm not a stadium gig goer, I like to go to pubs and small clubs, and I see a real kind of like, weird mix of bands that I used to like back in the 80s and 90s, that are still kind of doing it. They maybe disappear for 20 years and they come back. I've got that aging kind of punk indie thing. But then I love going to see brand new bands that are just getting out. And the music industry, like arts generally, it's such a tough place to survive, and kind of make a living for people. So I think we should be more supportive of the creative arts in the industry.
Don't get me started on a long rant there. So but yes, of course. So I am very connected to that in terms of it's very much not about the music I make. these days. It's more about the situations that I can do involving the music I make.
Yeah.
So that's what I've become. Yeah.
So listen, I want to ask you about Dave, and I know that this is quite a sensitive subject to you, and you can go as deep and wide as you want on it. And I remember seeing Dave's video, and I'll leave you to introduce all this and explain it was the Times Online stuff that he did a few years back, and I reached out to you and I thought, oh my God, we had a bit of an exchange about this, but maybe just explain to the audience a bit about your brother, situation he's found himself in. And
so my brother Dave lives in Kyiv, and he's been living there since 2007. So he regards himself as Ukrainian emotionally, and when the first wave of the Maidan revolution in 2014, he was very closely involved in in terms of the protests about Crimea being taken over. But when the Russian invasion came in 2022, he wanted to give something back to his country. But he's not the sort of person, he felt he shouldn't be carrying a gun because that's not helping anybody but he decided that he could help by going into the front line and evacuating people that need to get out, civilians.
Yep.
So he did that for about 2 years, and Anthony Lloyd of the Times followed him around making the film. So the crazy Englishman who does this stuff. So yes, he became an emergency relief driver, working with the militias originally, and then going on to work with more charitable organisations. So at first it was only forced to work down there were the militias, so not nice people, and or not politically as pleasant as you want it to be. And these days it's more about the charity people trying to rescue children the Russians have kidnapped. So so he's not doing that anymore because he lost his eye in an accident where shrapnel his window was down because he was trying to turn his car around because he realised he was in Sniper Alley. Trail went off, blew his eye out. Bullets raked the van and killed the person sitting behind him. I'm going to start cracking up. So, and I only found out about this. I found out about the eye from him, but all the rest of it from Anthony Lloyd, so because my brother didn't want to talk about it. So, as a songwriter, what do you do, right? It sounds awful. And I had to think about, am I capitalizing off my brother's terrible position by writing music about it? So I wrote some music to decide, and I sent him this very sad song, which was a prayer for him to survive. And it had the line, "And I hope you lose your death wish." And he wrote back to me and said, "Is it that obvious?" Sort of, because I'm a bit worried that I might have that. So we talked about it a bit, and he said, "I think it's time for me to come out." I mean, it isn't as strong. My brother doesn't talk to me much, in the sense that you have a Zoom call, and then he disappears off to go and rescue some people for a month, and then comes back. But I think the shock of hearing his brother write those awful words about him made him stand up. So he's never liked that song. So I did a video of another song which I wrote about him needing a stunt double to do the crazy stuff he does, which he does like. So. So I cut some of the Times footage into that, which, I'd like to show you.
So let's watch a clip out of Stunt Double.
You need a stunt double, a stunt double, for those moments when you can't pretend you're not the hero anymore. Can't pretend not the hero anymore. For those moments when you can't pretend you're not the hero anymore.
As I watched that, and I haven't watched the original footage from the the original video for probably about a year now. But when I watch that, it really brings it back. Just watching Dave wandering around here, you must have those moments, and I know that it is such a moving thing for you.
It is, and also, I mean, I should. Anthony Lloyd, the journalist, what an incredible man he is himself. because he
Yeah.
brought that out of my brother, and my brother's not someone that talks about that stuff. And Anthony's a very special journalist. So that was what's so interesting to me, is watching the reality of great journalists arriving into these situations when you realise that they're not just turning up and writing down what they see.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And I know that when we had an exchange the other day, and Steve O'Donnell last week when I interviewed Steve, in fact the videos have just gone up this week. He talks very, very strongly about what we need to do, and you're doing your thing by raising awareness, and what Dave's doing and making music and these humanitarian issues. We've all got to find our voice, and however we find our voice, whether it's through music or politics or whatever, because as Steve said, sometimes you just got to punch the school bully right on the nose.
I think I approach it slightly differently, because I think protest songs aren't listened to anymore. So there aren't very many good protest songs that hit more than the people that already think the same way as you. So I think you have to go under the covers and actually write about a wider context to ask the questions. So if you just go in and say, look, there's power in a union, take the Billy Bragg song from ages ago. If you don't believe in unions, you're not going to be converted by the wonderfulness of that folk tune.
Yeah.
For example. So I think, yes, but the problem is that these days you're actually trying to reach out to a wider set of people to ask the questions.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested in finding the ground that allows us to have the conversation. Perhaps when we're live playing, you get a bit more of a chat about it.
Yeah.
So I'm much more interested I'm interested in having some effect, but I'm not standing on a soapbox. I'm not big enough to do that. I'm not Radiohead or Coldplay or, with this sort of stadium amplification. I'm a guy who's playing 100-cap venues, having the conversations wherever I go. It's a different thing, but it's beautiful, and it's much more personable.
Absolutely, and if you play 100 cap venues, you reach out to 2,000 people, and I think, and again, I think you're incredibly humble about this, and we can all do our bit. There's like a snowball domino effect, whatever you want to call it. And that's why I'm doing the tech ledger. That's why I've got into sustainability a bit. If I can shift 1 mind, 5 mind, 10 minds to get me think about some of the crap that's going on in the world, and to take action, and to use less plastic or whatever it is.
I think it's fantastic. I think brilliant that you're doing this. I would say that you're approaching this from a top-down, big trends view. And what music's taught me, it's community activism.
Yeah.
It's actually finding the venue that doesn't work where I live and putting my effort into making it work and bringing a volunteer organisation together. It's about becoming the person that teaches people how to book their own gigs.
Yeah.
What we used to call a sales course, right? So it's like, so I've become much more interested in the enabling to allow music to continue, so other people's voices are heard. Obviously I love making music and I love people. I want people to listen to what I'm doing, but I've learned, it's not that different, but I've become more and more involved with the local community and the local venues and the other promoters and the other musicians and dance artists and filmmakers and designers. So being part of that network and actually making sure that we've got work and we're funded and we're doing that's kind of the exciting part. So the purpose for me has become, from top down, change the world, which I really applaud and want to do. But the reality is my music's not famous enough to do that. So it becomes more powerful to enable other people to go on and step on and do stuff. And so, providing people good gigs, paying them properly, supporting touring artists, that's getting people to come to gigs. We sell out most of our gigs where I am in West Sussex. I mean, not me, the bands we put on.
Yeah.
That is probably more important than me singing about Ukraine in terms of actual monetary value to the society. You know that the song we just played raised a couple of grand for Save Ukraine, which is nice.
Yeah, brilliant.
I'm much more interested. I think the power of community, the power of actually working with people, which is what you're doing in tech. Actually, you're doing tech community, the yin and yang. So I go, my yin and yang are big. I started off from top down, thinking big, scary, transformational thoughts, and became a community person doing stuff for other people. And that is, didn't know I was going to do that when I started. I thought I was going to make music. And so it's kind of, and I love the fact that that's happened, and I love the fact that I write songs about environmentalism. My daughter's an environmental psychologist. We write a song about fast fashion. That's probably coming out in the next record, but it's my daughter's voice, and it's and she's much more pithy about it.
How are you finding working with your daughter?
She's freaked out because she's. I think she doesn't use the tech, right? So when we make it and it sounds pretty good pretty quickly, she's going, how on earth did that happen? And then there's weeks of sorting it out afterwards. So it's really fun. It's an argument, right? But the argument is about what we're writing. That's brilliant fun.
Yeah.
It's actually much more, it's not difficult. Rosa, if you're not listening, so I'm safe. But,
she'll watch this later. So listen, just to wind up, So I've loved this. We could talk all afternoon. Genuine could talk all afternoon. Where do people find out a bit more about Serious Child?
Yeah.
And shameless plug, Al.
Thank you. Honestly, it's in all the usual places. SeriousChild.com, which I've mentioned 5 times during the course of this interview.
Subtly.
I don't know. It's actually not. Facebook, Instagram. I don't do X for political reasons, but and also YouTube. I do a lot of videos. So filmmaking, I like to leave the legacy of actually something that will survive and put it in my will to keep my YouTube channel open. So if you search on Serious Child, there it is.
Your videos are actually really, really good, very arty, and
there you go.
And
that's why I love doing it.
And you were out in the woods this week, is that right?
We're doing a one for the next month's release. Yes, so we were doing a dance around some trees. I know. With proper dance, I've done that. But they forced me to do some dancing. I'm still I haven't looked at the footage because I'm too scared. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Brilliant. Alan, I everything you've talked about, I love your journey. I mean, you've it's incredible just think, where you started and coming around here and the stuff you're doing now. And I find it really, really inspiring and uplifting and quite moving. And I will be shamelessly plugging and putting all your links on the Tech Ledger. And I'll probably put a link to Dave's to the Times footage. I think that stuff's really, really important, and a lot of people.
And finally, of course, you're coming to my Windsor gig, aren't you, Scott?
And I'm coming to your Windsor gig as well.
And so anyone wants to meet the two of us in person at the same place?
Yeah,
we'll be there.
Can I come
October
up?
16th.
Can I come up and do Suspicious Minds? But I only do the Vegas version.
Vegas version, Johnny Vegas.
But I think on that note, we'll bring this episode of Ledger Entry to the close. Alan Young, genuinely one of life's great guys. Thank you so much for talking to me and taking time out. I know it's been a busy week. Really appreciated.